Hello family, welcome back for another week of the home buying process. Today I'm going to talk about step 4, the agreement of sale contract, which is a pretty lengthy contract. It's 14 pages long. Your agent will go over the contract with you, but make sure that you read it and understand it for yourself. You as a buyer have now chosen a home that you want to make an offer on, and for how much you want to place that offer for. Your agent would then provide you with an estimated closing cost sheet, which will give you an estimated amount of how much you'll be spending prior to closing and after closing. For example, it's the cost of inspections, the initial deposit money, lender fees, title company fees, administrative business commission, and more. Today I'm going to highlight some things in the contract. The first thing is on page 1, which is the word dual agent. Let me give you an example of that. Let's take me, for instance. I'm the designated agent for the buyer. The broker is Berkshire Hathaway's HomeServices, the preferred Realty. The seller agent is the designated agent for the seller. And the broker is also Berkshire Hathaway's HomeServices, the preferred Realty. Now, Berkshire is acting as the broker for both the buyer and the seller in the same transaction, making them the dual agent. Another example, say I'm representing the buyer and the seller in the same transaction. I am now a dual agent. Let's say the home is listed for $120,000. You and your agent then compare other similar properties in the area. The ones that are active, sold, contingent, expired, to find out what the market is doing and valuing the home for. Then you as a buyer will decide on what your asking price will be for the home. Let's say your asking price is $110,000. That will be listed as the purchase price in the contract, which can be countered by the seller, and it can go back and forth between you two until there's an acceptance to the offer or not. Next, we will talk about the initial deposit called earnest money or hand money. It all depends on how the amount is decided. Usually it is 1% of the purchase price. So in this case, it will be $1,100 or more. It is customary, although not essential, to give an initial deposit. However, it is evidence of the buyer's intention to carry out the terms of the contract in good faith. This money is a way to let the seller know that you are serious about your offer. That money is given to either the buyer's agent or the seller's agent, as in a personal check, a cashier's check, or wire. Within 5 or less days, and is held in escrow, which is a separate account from the broker's business account. The settlement date is the date of closing, which is determined by numerous factors, such as the time the lender would need or the title company would need, and of course you and the buyer. It is usually around 30 to 90 days. The settlement will occur in the county where the property is located or in an adjacent county during normal business hours, unless buyer and seller agree otherwise. Dates and times are of the essence. Is the date the buyer is giving the seller to respond to the offer. Give enough time for the seller's agent to speak with the seller, like a day or two. Fixtures and personal property. Buyer and sellers are encouraged to be specific within negotiating what items will be included or excluded in the sale. Fixtures are personal property that has been so affixed to the land or the building that by law it becomes part of the real property. Some examples are radiators, kitchen cabinets, light fixtures, and plumbing. Personal property is movable, and they include such tangibles as chairs, tables, and clothing. Buyer financing. Buyers will have a certain period of days, usually about 7 days from the execution date of the contract, to have completed a mortgage application, which is the next step after getting pre-qualified or pre-approved. The initial pre-qualification that you got is based on the information you gave to the lender verbally, without the lender being able to research any of the information that was given to them. There's also a mortgage contingency, which can be waived or elected. If waived, the sale is not contingent on mortgage financing, like a cash buyer. However, that cash buyer still has the right to obtain mortgage financing with the property at a later date. If elected, the sale is contingent upon buyer obtaining mortgage financing, and there is a commitment date that is set. And by that commitment date, documentation demonstrating the mortgage lender's approval, whether conditional or outright, to the seller. Change in buyer's financial status. If there's a change in a buyer's financial status affects buyer's ability to purchase, buyer is to properly notify the lender and buyer's agent, such as loss or change in employment, failure or loss of sale of buyer's home, incurred a new financial obligation, entry of a judgment against the buyer, also applying for and or incurring any additional financial obligation which may affect the buyer's ability to purchase. Real estate seller disclosure law. And this is something that the seller for residential real estate has to fill out this form. And this form is giving description to the property. And it's provided to you, the buyer, when you start to see the home, when you first see the home and you have interest in the home, you're provided a property description and the seller's disclosure. In this seller's disclosure, it gives how old the roof is, how old the water heater is, the furnace, have there been any repairs to the home, have there been any leaks or termite damage to the home. And this is all things that are included in this seller disclosure. Waiver of contingencies is waiving your right as a buyer to have property inspected and or repaired, or to verify insurability, environmental conditions, boundaries, certifications, zoning classifications or use, or any other information regarding the property. Buyer will accept the property as is. That's what you're doing when you're waiving these things. There will be a list of about 10 things that you can either elect or waive to have done as a buyer that's mentioned in this contract. Buyer may also have 2 pre-settlement walkthroughs, inspections of the property for a limited purpose of determining that the condition of the property is as required by the contract and any addenda. So you'll have 2 times that you can do a walkthrough through the property prior to closing. Next week's video, I'll have an inspector talk with you about the importance of having an inspection completed and what it entails. So please subscribe, like, share, and hit the bell to be notified of new videos. See you later, family. Bye-bye.